In this video, I'm going to show you how to break up with nightmare clients without ruining your company's reputation in the process. This one is super important. Let's jump into it. But quickly, what's up? Mike Mak here, founder of AutomatedCleaningBusiness.com, and I'm back with another video. And on the last video, I was talking about nightmare clients, 3 red flags to look for. If you haven't checked that one out, you're definitely going to want to do that. But on this video, I'm talking about, let's say you do have that nightmare client. You know, the type of client that is just making you pull the hairs out of your head. You'd rather tweak them one by one than to get on the phone and talk to this nightmare client just because, again, like I said, they're a nightmare to deal with. But a lot of times, getting rid of a client like this could be really messy. It could get really, really messy, and I want to make sure we avoid you getting slandered online, and I also want to make sure you avoid actually staying with this client so you don't get slandered online. It's avoidable. This video is going to show you how to do it. So let's get right into it. All right, first things first. Have you tried everything to make it work? Now, sometimes you could have a client who's just a little teed off, right? They're a little disappointed. They're a little disappointed in the performance, or, you know, lines can get crossed, little things are going unnoticed, and they're not really communicating. And ultimately, now they're in a position where they're leaving you angry emails, and then you're just feeling like this is a nightmare client. Sometimes that is the case. But there's also other times where it's just, no, this person is just really busy. And in their mind, you told them that you were going to take care of the cleaning, and the fact that you haven't been there to quality control, in their mind, you're just kind of not living up to your end of the bargain. In this particular situation, I wouldn't call that a nightmare client at all. I would say that that's a reasonable client. Have you tried to sit down with this client? Is this someone you have tried to, get coffee with? Bring coffee to their office, hash some things out, get on the same page, get moving in the right direction. Have you attempted that? If you haven't attempted that and you would like to continue to work with them, do that first before you go ahead and start breaking up with clients, okay? Another thing I want you to consider is, let's say this is the type of client that, maybe they've added some things in and maybe it's a little less profitable, the account now, and you're in a position where you're like, they're not terrible to deal with. They're actually not that bad, but they're adding stuff and I can't deal with this. Okay, so if you're willing to walk away, you'll have nothing to lose by putting together a proper email that lists out everything that they have added on top of, what was agreed upon, how much extra time cleaners are spending there. And ultimately, this is what you would charge if they weren't a client. Maybe you can inflate it a little bit and then give them that little bit back by saying, but this is how much we're gonna need to raise to make sure that you're happy and we're happy as well. If not, you have to find someone else for the space. That's essentially what you want to say. Now, again, in this particular situation, you have nothing to lose. If you're willing to walk away because you feel like, no, they added stuff and we're kind of at a point where if they don't increase the budget, then we're not going to stick around. A lot of times this may surprise you. You may end up keeping that client because this client may not be a nightmare client at all. So again, these are 2 things that I want you to just pay attention to before you just classify everyone as a nightmare client and then just move on from them. So try these 2 things before getting to what we're going to jump into right now. Okay, so let's get into it. You want to break up with a nightmare client, but you want to make sure that they don't run around telling the world how bad you are as a cleaning service. Okay. Now, I've been in the unfortunate position to have worked with a few people that were really, really out there in terms of they would go to that extreme of going out there and just plastering the internet with how bad we are. And in the beginning, I was very intimidated. I was very intimidated to leave this type of client. So this is back when I was doing the cleaning with Jess. This happened to be a preschool, and I gotta be honest with you, it was scary. It was scary because at the time we needed all the accounts we had, and the idea of letting one go, it was scary. But what was especially scary is leaving her and getting a 1-star review, which will ultimately lead to scaring some new clients away. Felt like an impossible situation, but we avoided that. And the way we avoided it was by showing up at a time when we knew she was free and basically asking for 5 minutes and just politely going through the situation as we saw it, getting her perspective on the same exact situation, and ultimately telling her we're not the crew for you. And I still remember being in her office at that time and the shock on her face. It was it was very surprising. In her mind, She didn't hate us at all. She was just very demanding. So she made an attempt to keep us. But we knew at that point we were not coming back. So we actually convinced her that it'd be better off for her if she kept the cleaning in-house because of the level of clean she was looking for. That worked out beautifully. Now there's multiple ways you can do this. We showed up in person because we really wanted to let authenticity win here. We really wanted her to feel that we were good people, that we were just basically just a young couple who just went all in on a cleaning service and we're doing our best, and ultimately we're just not the best fit to work together, and that's okay. And that worked beautifully because after that, to our surprise, she did not give us a poor review, and you know what? She never even mentioned us ever again as far as we know, and we're grateful for that, just like we would never say anything bad about her either. See, that was smooth. Now, for your situation, you may not want to go in person, and that's okay too. If you feel like, yeah, I know, Mike, that sounds good, but I can't go in person. And that's okay. Because you could always call, you could email. I would kind of stay away from text because text feels a little bit coarse, and I would say maybe email too. Calling is good because again, you can still play on that authenticity, and it's good to play that card of just saying, hey, we had really tried to make this work and it just hasn't worked, but just understand that we really wanted it to work, and this is what we felt ultimately where the issues were, and we would love to hear your perspective on it. And ultimately, after that conversation, put in your notice and keep it moving. When you handle it that way, the likelihood of this person going out there getting really angry and going out there and just spreading a lot of nonsense about your company is very low. Why? Well, because you're giving them the respect of kind of telling them your perspective, telling them that you did want this to work out, telling them that you have made attempts, hopefully you have made attempts, and then you give them the ability to kind of air out how they feel. Because maybe there's some things that you didn't understand. Because maybe there are some things you hear that would be really constructive for you going forward with future clients. This is particularly powerful because if they can kind of get what they're feeling off their chest directly to you, then 9 times out of 10, and possibly 10 times out of 10, they're not going to go out to Google and get their frustrations out on you on Google. Does that make sense? Okay, now that you kind of got those things off your chest, let's talk business. I mean, how does this divorce happen to where you don't put them in a bad spot? Because again, these are the types of things they're going to think about. And these are the type of things, like, even though you didn't have a great working relationship, you can still like pardon as friends, like in a sense, right? You can maybe not like best friends, but you could have positive feelings about each other in the exit. And some of the ways you could do that is just by keeping that service mentality that ultimately helped you land that account. And one of the ways to do that is to give 30 days note. Okay, don't just quit on the spot, again, because that just puts them in a bad situation. Now, the good news is that even though you're giving 30 days notice, chances are there's a high probability that it won't take 30 days. Why? Because there are thousands and thousands of needy cleaning companies out there, being honest, who are willing to underbid, and ultimately they'll bail you out of this situation really, really quickly, especially when they go out and just put it out on bid on something like Bark or Yelp. It's a lot of desperation there, so don't worry about it. But if you give notice, and then right after giving the 30 days notice, you say something like, hey, listen, if you find someone in 2 days, that's fine. If it's 28 days, 29 days, or even if you need like an extra day, we're here for you. Again, we don't want to leave you in a bad spot. That is not at all our intention. And then I want you to say something like, and please rest assured that for our remaining time here, we are going to handle things professionally. We're going to make sure that you are taken care of no matter what. If you handle this business breakup like this, you are never going to have negative reviews. That's why to this day, my company only has 5-star reviews on Google and Yelp, because this is how we handle it. Not all of our accounts are smooth. Sometimes it ends up downright bad, like terrible, but ultimately it doesn't completely finish terrible. We finish it on as good as terms as possible, and that's why we've been able to keep our A+ reputation in the area. Do these things and you can kiss those 1-star reviews goodbye. That's it for this video. If you found it valuable, hit me with a thumbs up, also subscribe, and if you like this, then you're definitely gonna like this video. Peace.